It is high time to take off the rose-colored glasses and see what's really happening in the world of entertainment. Welcome to The Spin.
Big screen,
big movies,
big sound,
big stars,
big action.
box office is down.
They're sort of just looking for that instant money grab.
God bless America.
They hate it, whatever.
I don't know. I say these things, I don't know where they come from.
There's not value here.
They're trying to sell to the greatest number of people at once.
It's terrible news.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Maybe it wasn't a very good movie.
The way that we're releasing it is an experiment.
Because we need to send a message.
We're sending it for cheap on DVD.
Obviously, piracy is the top of the agenda.
But the guys who make it, they arrest them.
We have our hands full.
Back in business.
Okay, Hollywood, take a good long look in the mirror. It seems time has taken its toll and you are in serious need of a facelift. Or are we in serious need of an attitude adjustment?
The problem with Hollywood, if there can be one problem, is that there's a complete lack of memory.
Don't forget!
Quit busting my you-know-what, okay?
Hollywood is a place where it's always about the next thing, which is good in some ways because it can drive things, but when you lose the memory of what came before, what it means is you get this idea that whatever's new is good and whatever's old is bad. There was a time when Hollywood had a sense of its own history and venerated things that came before, and you took what was good about products in the past and built on them and extended them and reinvented them. Now, just about the only way they do that is through digging up old TV shows to make crappy movies out of.
Hardy har har.
And sequelization.
The Legend of Zorro.
That's really not the same thing as having a memory of where you've come from.
This country was built on half-ass schemes.
Obviously, Hollywood is sort of running out of ideas. I mean, when you're remaking a movie like The Fog.
What's wrong?
I keep seeing horrible things.
In one way or another, Hollywood has only been around for 80 years or something. So when you think of the cycle of ideas, in one way or another, sort of just repeat itself.
As far back even as like 1995, 1994, you would find shows like My So-Called Life, which basically appealed to a very small audience. It was teenagers, and Claire Danes starred in it, and ABC basically canceled it.
You're not supposed to cross certain lines.
Because at that point, they weren't that focused on that teen demographic. The guy who was the president of ABC at the time has since gone on the record saying that was the big mistake they made.
I guess we'll skip the razzmatazz.
The OC today is a huge hit. The OC got worse ratings than My So-Called Life did. It's just that in the last few years, we've really turned and realigned the entire industry so that the only demographic that really matters is that young adult teenage demographic, and everything is targeted at them.
They say that movies are made for 15-year-old boys. And those are the people who go to see movies not once, but 2, 3, 4 times. And that's where those big budget movies make their money. And so, you know, we've seen an awful lot of comic book movies.
There used to be a certain number of bankable stars who could open a film. So if you think back to the days of Schwarzenegger and Stallone, if you just had that name above the title, you had a hit. Now there are not that many stars that can do that. I mean, Tom Cruise is one of them, but the others are pretty far and few between.
What's happening?
I can't tell you now. We only got about another minute.
The movie started as, mass entertainment, and I don't think we should feel guilty about making romantic comedies funny. And for some reason, we feel guilty about liking a movie that's entertaining. I don't know, when did movies become hard work?
I mean, maybe you'd have more luck if you did something a little more romantic.
The only way to approach you is from behind because your back's always turned to me.
No, I'm reading. I just like to have a minute to myself without you pawing at me.
Sometimes if I'm at a movie and everybody's loving it, I just think, well, they're all insane if I don't like it.
Your entire career, you've been used and probably never even known what for.
Why do you want to go to the movie theater? That has already changed
Film has continually evolved to a point where it's a very expensive thing. Maybe it's a date-oriented type of film, and that's what it is. Maybe it's a filmic experience, and there are not many people who want a filmic experience. Maybe it's a blockbuster, and it's the thing you do in the summer. I mean, I think that they're dealing with a social landscape that has changed radically, and they're trying to figure out what should be released or what shouldn't be released. It is upsetting to see a film that is a smash that just really isn't a good thing anyways and will dissolve into the ether, but somehow we care.
God, baby.
Hopefully what'll happen if some of these films continue not to perform that aren't very imaginative, it'll make Hollywood really realize that people are hungry for unique forms of entertainment and start telling stories that are a little more interesting than just adapting TV shows and making sequels.
The box office slump, cold hard fact, or brilliantly spun fiction. It seems the truth lies somewhere between the Loch Ness legend and the Lord of the Rings.
The big story this whole year has been the box office slump. 2005, the box office for the summer has been off every weekend from 2004, which is, one of those great stories, especially when you can tag it with, and you know what this means? It's because movies are crappy. It's a shame that it's not true. The problem with numbers is you can get them to say anything. And what nobody, except for a few people, have pointed out is that, yeah, okay, you compare 2005 to 2004, and the numbers are off. But if you look at the last 5 years, they're not.
If you're looking at, let's say, compared to the peak year, let's take it a year ago, it may be off by 4 to 8%. Now that could be from anything from you didn't have the right blockbuster this year, like maybe it was last year you had Shrek 2 that skewed the numbers.
2004 was a big year. There was this little movie about Christ that nobody accounted for.
People didn't expect that movie to come out. It made over $300 million. So it really tipped the balance between last year and this year. There was no Passion of the Christ this year.
If one of the big blockbuster movies that had tanked, Triple X.
You're the new Triple X.
Or, The Island, had been a big hit, we wouldn't be talking about the box office slump.
You still think there's an island?
I don't know if it was that bad of a summer dollar-wise, but it certainly was artistically. I don't think there was that much out there that really jazzed people up.
Maybe a better product would have helped. Maybe not so many crappy movies. That might have been, I'm just guessing.
Product-wise, it's a different story. There weren't movies that people were going to see 2 or 3 or 4 times like they're used to. I mean, Star Wars this year, I think, was the saving grace for the industry. As was Wedding Crashers. Unexpected, huge hit.
I'm gonna make you a bicycle. I don't want to make you a bicycle.
Shut your mouth, funny guy, and make it!
A movie is like a car or a boat. You can steer it, but you can't make it a better vehicle than it is.
You should try taking credit for something every once in a while.
There are a lot of different theories about why box office is down and fewer people are going to the movies these days. A lot of people in Hollywood, both at studios and independently, think that it's the product. They just think that the films out there, they're mostly sequels.
What are you gonna tell me about that?
Thought you'd want to see it for yourself.
They're franchise properties, things like the Dukes of Hazzard or Fantastic Four.
Don't even think about it.
Never do.
Stuff is bad because they're trying to sell to the greatest number of people at once, and they are doing a certain formulaic approach to that.
Yes, I can work with this.
We have been drawn into a web of unnecessary concern and apathy for an industry. I don't care, and I think people shouldn't care. We should care about really good movies being able to be released. I saw Capote and I was extremely impressed with it.
This is my work, Perry. I'm working. So when you want to tell me what I need to hear, you let me know.
Hollywood has changed in such a way that they didn't put so much pressure on the opening weekend box office. Now there's such a huge push. They don't care what happens beyond that. If you look back to the 70s, I can remember movies opening, and part of their advertising campaign would be advertising it as like 7th smash week. If something sticks around the theaters for 7 weeks now, I mean, that's Lord of the Rings. That's incredible.
driving to a larger extent the obsession with box office numbers is that when you talk about art, when you talk about movies, you're talking about something that's completely subjective. If you can point to box office, it's a way of trying to quantify something that really is kind of, in the end, unquantifiable. I offer you something.
Double tequila, no salt. One thing's for certain, one man's cinematic trash is another man's treasure. Just take a look at the international numbers.
The foreign market is actually driving Hollywood product more than ever before. A film usually makes 50 to 60% of its money from overseas grosses and not North American.
When another Arnold Schwarzenegger movie comes out,
A machine.
or another Sylvester Stallone movie comes out,
Am I insane? Completely.
or, you know, they make the Dukes of Hazzard movie.
You're missing the point.
We here in North America go, oh my God, that's so over. Oh my God, I can't believe anybody's gonna go see that.
Might have used too much.
Well, you know what? It might have a bigger recognition factor in foreign than it has in North America. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, they're still huge stars in Germany, in Japan. And those markets have a lot of people in them that spend a lot of money at the box office.
Amateurs.
There are films that we think of as flopping that are actually international hits, and that can affect Hollywood's decision-making in terms of the way they make movies. There's also a trend where if you look at a film like The Island, for example, which was a huge dud here, but overseas it did very well, particularly in Asia.
It is a crazy game, this box office dealings and what wins and what doesn't, and what succeeds and what doesn't.
Put your thumb on that. You were worth every penny.
So much of your earning potential theatrically is based on that first weekend and that first week. Everything is telescoped, everything is more disposable, and everything has to happen quickly.
What's going on?
If you are not one of the chosen films that has a huge amount of money behind you, that has a huge studio willing to do ad buys and willing to blanket every piece of media for the 2 weeks before you open, you're going to have to get pretty creative with how you get the word out there, because there is so much noise and there are so many products, and the marketing plans are so precise now that they really are geared towards let's get in there, let's get out, make a surgical strike, and boom. If it doesn't blow up in the first weekend, it's dead. Kill it.
It's over. Just give me another fight, Jim.
What's done is done.
Not always.
Marketing has won. And maybe the consumer's lost.
What saved the international man of mystery when his movie mojo went flat? We have the shaggerific answer right after the break. Video killed the radio star, and now movie theaters are on the verge of suffering the same terrible fate. The reason? Death by DVD.
The minute you've got a $6,000, $5,000 flat screen television in your movie theater living room, you aren't going to want to go to a movie theater to see the majority of films anymore. Now, what if you're dating? You don't want to do that in your living room, so you're going to go see something like Hitch.
My name is Alex Hitchens, and I'm a consultant.
Right? You're going to go see some popular rom-com. You know, that's what a movie theater becomes, a date zone, like a restaurant.
So life's kind of hard all around.
Well, not if you pay attention.
The realignment that's happening in the movie industry right now is absolutely profound. I don't think you're going to find anybody that's serious that studies these things that's going to tell you anything other than the tail is now wagging the dog. DVD is more important than the theatrical release. And that's true for everything.
Baby, walk to mommy.
DVD is the driving force in Hollywood. It's the reason certain films are getting made, because they see them as being more appealing in the home entertainment market. A film like Austin Powers didn't do very well in the theater, but it did so well on DVD that then they started making sequels.
Allow myself to introduce
Myself.
A film like Napoleon Dynamite also did okay in the theater, but it became a cult DVD release.
I have all your equipment in my locker. You should probably come get it, because I can't fit my nunchucks in there anymore.
Ray hit DVD like a month after it came out in theaters or something like that. It was ridiculous. What's the point in putting it in theaters, really?
And don't you come back no more.
There's this move afoot where they're wondering, well, you know, should we release DVDs at the same time as they come out in the theaters? The fact that that's even being considered shows you how the economics have shifted. The theatrical run, which used to be the be-all and end-all, is like, at best, the appetizer.
Everything in this room is eatable. Even I'm eatable. But that is called cannibalism, my dear children, and is in fact frowned upon in most societies.
You can tailor a straight-to-video hit. You can market it on pay television. There's lots of places for you to go, and I think that's where you see the smart, money-making producers out there sort of working now.
The goal is to compel an audience to be engaged by the characters and go for the ride.
These guys, they're relentless. Are you sure you want this?
What do you think?
Keep your head down.
There's a big controversy right now in Hollywood where studios want to release films theatrically and on DVD at the same time.
If you want something more from me than a gesundheit after a sneeze, you're gonna have to do more. You understand?
Mark Cuban and his business partner, they are currently looking at releasing a movie simultaneously in theaters, on DVD, and on pay TV.
You think I handled this wrong? I was too forceful, I was too American. She's different.
Well, the plan is to go out in all formats at the same time: theatrical, high-def, pay-per-view, and DVD. I feel like this is where everything is headed, that eventually almost all movies will be available in whatever format you want on the same day.
I think you're really distracted. You've been on the laptop like a little crack monkey, logging onto Expedia for this chick in Tucson. Let me tell you something, man. This is art. I dumped my girlfriend the day we started rehearsals.
The people who are against it are the movie theater owners, because they see this as potentially putting movie theaters out of business and making them obsolete. So you have these two factions in Hollywood that are warring against each other.
The technology is there to do it. It's just evolution, you know, you just have to get with it.
Directors are even taking sides too. M. Night Shyamalan, who did Signs and The Sixth Sense, and he's on the side of the theater owners.
I think God did it.
Did what, Morgan?
We're talking about the film business here, so we have to maintain our composure and understand that it's not life-altering, this issue of windows and day. But within this very small corridor of people who are affected by it, yeah, I think everybody's curious to see how it's going to shake out.
It's never been done before. So you need planning and a large crew.
We just have to look at what people want and how they're voting with their pocketbook and their feet and figure out, you know, how to get them to see our movies.
It's an unbeatable market force, man. It's a 300% markup value.
Of course I'd love people to see it on a big screen. Seeing it at home in high def, that's pretty good too. I'm not precious about what format.
I think it's a very interesting approach, and it's definitely something that the larger studios are going to be looking at. I'm curious to see what happens with this. I think giving the consumer a choice is not a bad thing.
Move over, Jack Sparrow. Modern-day pirates have traded ocean, boat, and land for DVD burners. But is it sinking movie sales? Oh, the thriving underworld of DVD piracy. It is the ultimate insult to the movie connoisseur and the ultimate gift to the bargain hunter. But at what cost to the movie houses?
Blockbuster's getting mad and taking all their business next.
Oh, no way.
They don't even have these movies, you know, and we're selling it for cheap on DVD.
Piracy is a huge problem in Canada. As an example, this year we have seized 10 times as many discs as we did a year ago. That doesn't mean that we're getting more efficient. That tells me that the problem's proliferating to that extent. In terms of the anti-piracy operation, yeah, it's a major concern for our studios here in Canada.
How much is it?
5 for 1, 6 for 20. For all the new movies.
The very first pirated disc normally that you get out on the streets, it normally comes from, on the first round, from a camcording that takes place in the theater. And now we have watermarks that we can determine at what theater, anywhere in the world, where it was camcorded. And Canada has become the camcording capital of the world. 47% of pirated material has been camcorded in a theater in Canada.
Do you make it in China or what?
This? No, these are made here.
Made here?
Yeah.
How they make it?
Burn it, computer.
Pirated DVDs are the biggest threat to big studio pictures, so something like the next Harry Potter movie.
I teach you to curse someone when their back is turned.
And that's why studios now release their films day and date worldwide. They release it at the same time all around the world, which they never did before, to try and keep the movie under wraps and then get it out as quickly as possible.
People don't realize is the quality of these movies is just, it can be awful. I mean, the odd time you can get a really good one, but those are far and few between. Generally, the picture quality is poor, the audio quality is poor, and there won't be any extras on the DVD that we're used to getting. So, I mean, if somebody's really desperate on wanting to see that movie, then I guess they'll buy the DVD sight unseen.
What I say in the next several hours will determine whether or not I spend the rest of my life in prison.
In a digital world, when we're fully digitalized, yeah, the piracy issue is prime concern to us, because that 1,000th copy of a digital product looks as good as the first. So it depends on how you source it.
Personally, I don't understand how anybody can watch a movie that has like a moving camera or a head bopping up every once in a while or the sound of people eating popcorn in the background. That's not the way to watch a movie. The way to watch a movie is in your own home with your great home theater system or in a movie theater, the way it was meant to be seen, big screen, big sound, big action.
You'll be here in another hour, right?
Yeah. This cop.
Shake it down for Southeast?
Yeah.
I think they're probably instructed that if they see a law enforcement officer, just run and leave your material. I mean, this is almost like a newspaper route now, where they come out in vans early in the morning, right, and they drop them off just like dropping off bundles of newspapers.
They kick me out, yeah, but the guys who make it, they arrest them. You know?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's exploded seriously in the last 12 months, 14 months.
They busted like a couple of stands last week.
Here?
So we took a break for like 3-4 weeks.
No
maybe.
kidding, eh?
Back in business.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I think I kind of had that coming.
Certainly, the bottom line is greed. Somebody wants to make money. They do go through a lot of trouble to record these movies, to pirate them, to make them, and then to sell them, take the risk of selling them on the street. So, like, it's all in the end, it's money.
At the end of the day, I mean, technology, our technology, to be able to thwart copyright is going to be the long-term answer. In the short term, we need penalties to go after the people who are really heavily involved in this crime, and they're making a lot of money.
That is it for this edition of The Spin. I'm Dita Pugliese. I'll see you next time.
Going to the movies is still one of the cheapest forms of entertainment you can have. It's 2 hours. It's always a surprise. Going to a movie costs $10 to $13. Tell me any other 2-hour event that you can pay $10 to $13. Going to a hockey game is $150. Going to a concert is probably between $70 and $100. I'd say $10 to $13 isn't bad for 2 hours of great entertainment. Hey, if you don't like that movie, just think how disappointed you are if you go to a hockey game and your team doesn't win. Isn't it the same thing?